Hi, I'm Tom Gardner, co-founder and CEO of the Motley Fool, with maybe some outrageous claims about what I think the average person should stop doing. Now, I suggest this because a lot of organizations are very focused on what they will make from you rather than what you get in exchange for what you're paying. It's just natural. Profit drives a lot of activities around the world. When I look at two exceptions to the rule, I see companies like Vanguard and Costco that were really built for the end user, the customer, to benefit the most. Vanguard bringing fees down across money management, popularizing Jack Bogle's PhD thesis at Princeton in 1951 to create one of the largest money managers in history with the lowest fees, primarily focused on indexing. A brilliant system, model, vision, and execution for the world. Another wonderful company like this is Costco, delivering a subscription model for shopping that puts every buyer in position to buy product at wholesale pricing and never budging off of that. And that model has served Jim Sinegal and the following CEOs of the company after his founding and long leadership of the business in a way that has generated enormous amounts of wealth for employees, for shareholders, and more than anyone else, to the benefit of their customers to be able to buy at wholesale pricing. But most organizations aren't that pristine and that bold in their mission. And some of them are far worse than not good enough. And I'm going to start with them. And the first one is going to seem really outrageous. And that is, I think that you, members of your family, should stop assuming that paying for private university or even public university out of state without having a really solid game plan for why that student is going to college for 4 years, I think is a very bad idea. In fact, I think a lot of money is being wasted in the US and around the world, but we'll focus on the US, on university educations right now that are not at all prepared to set their students up for success at the dawn of the transformation driven by AI tooling. In fact, every single university should be requiring their students to use AI in every single class, not banning it, not trying to slow down the use of the tools that are pretty much determining compensation at many companies around the world, an increasing number of industries. So I don't think universities right now are positioned very well to educate students for the future. And I think in many cases, the parents of these students should be really looking to where that student is going to apprentice and get engaged in their industry of choice and with companies and learning about those businesses, because there are going to be a lot of challenges in employment with this transformation. And again, I'm just not convinced that universities right now are set up to position their students for success long term. Number two, some people think that business leaders are evil. Some people think politicians are evil. Let's put them both together in a system called the lottery. How can we possibly be advancing lottery systems in states across the US? We all know the numbers. Well, maybe we don't all know the numbers because we still have a number of players, but if you just run the basic numbers, what do you actually want the people of this country doing? You want them buying equities. You want them becoming owners. You would even be happy if they were just bondholders. They were lending money. You don't want them speculating in lotteries and getting a negative 50% return on average for every ticket. That's dumb. That's foolish with a small f. We don't want that in our society. So yeah, I think everyone that's played the lottery should stop playing the lottery. If you want to dabble for $1 here and there, but these systems should be shut down, really. I mean, they serve no great purpose. You can lie to me and say, oh, the state lottery funds, they go to our education funds. We put them over here. Oh, you're just moving the slushy funds around in government. Like, the lottery is not a beneficial tax in the US at all, and it should be ended. Number three, if you're still with me, the IPO markets are bubbling right now. And every time the IPO markets bubble, it does indicate that the markets are trending towards being too richly priced, particularly when you have very large IPOs one after another. These businesses are so well informed. They have the best analysts, the most resources to figure out the next strategic decision. And you can bet they've studied very carefully when would be a good time for their company to go public. And that is when the markets are booming. You don't want to take your company public when no one wants to buy stocks, when the S&P 500 is down 25%. So flying high IPOs of large companies is a market indicator. It is not the sole indicator. It doesn't guide us with any certainty for what's going to happen. But my recommendation is that none of us retail investors should buy IPOs on the first day. Just don't do it. That is a massive marketing event for that company. Financial media, and everyone's talking about where did it open at? How's the stock done in the first 4 days? You know, the greatest companies in history, any one of us can quiz people about how they did at their IPO day and in the first 6 months after the IPO, and no one's going to know. How did NVIDIA do on its IPO day? Anybody know? Does it matter? Would that have been a big predictor to its long-term success? I remember Noodles & Company coming public as a restaurant and getting a huge buzz on their IPO day. You can go back and read about it, and then you can quote Noodles & Company and see where it is today. I don't mean to pick on them. I'm just simply saying IPO date, it is no indication of long-term success. It is overrated, overblown, overhyped, and overpriced. Peter Lynch had it right when he said IPOs should simply represent it's probably overpriced IPO. So stay away from IPOs on the first day. You could even say for the first week. Say if you want to be a great long-term investor, recognize the majority of IPOs see a price below their first day high within the first 6 months. And it's consistent across many, many companies. So let's not buy into that. That's what institutions want us to do. They want us to get totally fired up. They're going to sell this IPO. We can just buy them out of the ATM machine. You can get them when you buy a sandwich at Subway. You can get some shares in the IPO. They're going to make it as easy as possible to buy these IPOs early on, and it's a really bad idea. It's not going to help us with our long-term investment returns. Number 4, margin, borrowing money to buy stocks. We right now have over $1.3 trillion in margin in the US. Those are elite levels. We are near all-time highs in margin debt, which means we are being drawn in to a system that was built to help us fund businesses and become successful and wealthy for our long-term stake in that organization. And we are being drawn into speculating with money that we don't have when we go on margin. We pay interest for that margin. We can be margin called if the stock collapses. In some cases, if the stock goes down 10%, you'll get a margin call depending on how much margin you're using. If every single individual investor in the US and around the world said, I'm not going to go on margin, period, under any circumstances, we would have healthier markets, we would have better long-term investment returns, and those who are pushing margin in the marketplace would not fare so well, but I don't think it's a bad thing for society. And number 5, something that many investors love to do, and I think you should start hating to do it, and that is using stop-loss orders in your investments. When you buy a stock at $100 a share and say, I'm going to place a stop at $92 a share. If the stock falls 8%, I'm out. Some people could say that that's too tight a stop. Maybe it should be down 15%. So I bought it at 100, at 85, I'm out. And I want it in the system. What you and we all need to understand is that institutions using AI are able to identify and estimate clusters of stop-loss orders, and they happily work to trip them. Talk to hedge fund managers and see how much they delight in the opportunity to take advantage of people that put information out into the marketplace that they can use to move stocks in one direction or the other to their benefit. Peter Lynch once said, if you set your stop-loss order, wherever you set it, you should pretty much expect to sell your stock at that price. It's far better not to worry about where the stock's going to go in the next week or year, and far better to think about where that business is going in the next 5 years. You're going to make a lot more money that way. If you had stop-loss orders on Netflix, you would really never have been able to hold those shares. Netflix stock fell more than 70% 4 times, en route to rising 200 plus times in value and creating millionaires many times over of the long-term business-focused individual investors like you'll see at the Motley Fool. I encourage everyone to not use stop-loss orders. It's going to boost transaction fees for you. It's going to put your whole investment approach at the whim of market behavior and sentiment in the short term. That's not good business principle right there in your investment style. So those are my 5. Stop paying for university without a clear understanding of what you're going for and whether or not that university is advancing AI tooling in every aspect of the learning process. Number 2, let's shut down the lottery system. The US will be better. Can we shut down the state lottery system? That would be so good because that capital could go to productive areas for individuals. Number 3, let's stay away from IPOs first day, first week. Let's not play into the hype system, and let's make sure we're putting our capital to work for very long-term aims. Number 4, let us not borrow to buy stocks. And number 5, stop-loss orders. You can have a mental stop-loss order if you want to. You could set it up on your own in a yellow pad with a number 2 pencil. You don't need to put it up in the system and start putting data out there so when that stop-loss order moves to a market order, it's visible. And all of a sudden you have institutions working to trip those stop-loss orders. That's not to your advantage. It's going to run up your transactional fees. It's going to run up your taxes, and it's going to make investing a very anxious experience for you when it does not need to be. Thank you very much for considering these 5 factors. If you'd like to add any in the comments area, I'd love to know what you think people should stop doing in order to secure their financial future and live a smarter, happier, and richer life. Best of luck and Fool on.